Hello and welcome back. Again, conversations on artificial intelligence. And again, Paolo is your host tonight. So tonight, we talk about a very interesting topic. And if you're new to the channel, it is an honor and privilege to have you here. If you're coming back, thank you so much for coming back. So the topic we're going to talk today is a topic that affects almost everyone's life. And we're talking about hiring, and we're talking about how hiring is going to be changed, perhaps disrupted from machine learning. Today, I interviewed Dr. Bandari. He is a former NASA scientist who has started a company focusing at changing the way that recruiting is done. So, if you're interested to look into the details of the interview, if you want to see the entire interview, please subscribe to the channel and we will release it in the next few days. In the meantime, I want to offer 3 takeaways that I took with me during the interview. So number 1, did you know that only 20% of the resumes that are usually submitted to a company get read by recruiters? Well, I did not. I suspected it, but I just learned it. And the way that Dr. Bandari's startup, Texnomics, is addressing this problem is basically by creating a variety of algorithms that ultimately are looking at the entire spectrum of resumes that have been submitted. And by doing that, the startup wants to make and facilitate the relationship between the hiring manager or the hiring committee and the recruiter, and making sure that the entire set of applicants is taken into consideration. Now, what are the pros and cons that can arise from a technology that is basically doing the pre-screening to an extent that is more sophisticated than was done before in the past? So, one obvious pro is that now more people will be considered, and before there was simply not the time for the recruiters to consider all of the candidate pool. The second more problematic element is that it's going to be more difficult for people to do lateral transitions from one type of job to another one, because the artificial intelligence machine will likely cut them out. Now, is this a huge problem? There are other startups that are actually working only on this particular problem. And they, for example, are looking at ways to identify candidates that, although do not have a specific experience on the role that is opened by the company, do have a relevant experience and a relevant background. So this type of problem is or will be mitigated by other type of startups. We have to see if the problem will arise to what extent. What is sure today is that the process as it is today, it's far from being perfect. So the third takeaway is basically looking at the future. The entire HR industry is going to be altered and modified by machine learning. So the various functions of HR will be to an extent automated. So for example, if we look at posting the job itself, it becomes more of an automation and machine learning practice, where the machine learning will be able to, tweak the job posting depending on the job board or depending on other factors. But at the same time, even more complex elements of the recruiting process, such as, estimate if a person is a good fit, cultural fit for the company, might at some point in the future become more automated. I know that that's scary, but that's the way that things are moving. On the other end, there is an entirely new part of recruiting that it's also probably being affected by machine learning. And that is the part that has to do with the retention of the candidate. And so that includes evaluations, evaluating performances, evaluating this, the happiness or the fit of the candidate over a period of time. And finally, even taking care of promotions and how the candidate is actually progressing within the company. So lots of the HR functions will be modified over time. And that was the finding of today's interview. There were many more details that we discussed with Dr. Bandari on this particular interview. Again, if you're interested and this is a topic that appeals to you, please subscribe to the channel and you'll be able to watch the entire episode. Until then, Thank you so much for taking your time, and I wish you a fantastic day. Bye.